She's okay, guys. HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys today with my Performer Pal um, Draco Pendulum deck circa 2016. This pretty much follows up with my Pendulum era revisits because there are a lot of decks that I did do deck profiles for, but unfortunately, um, just due to location and stuff, a lot of the videos had to be adjusted in sound and quality and stuff like that. But now that I have the access to do such, I want to revamp a lot of those decks, and this is one of them that hit circa April 2016 when the ban list hit. That was following the February 2016 emergency ban list, and a lot of cards between that not only were hit from the Performer Pal, the Performer Pals, but the Performer Mages, and a lot of the support for a lot of the Pendulum cards. So with this variation of it, I went straight Performer Pal, because the Performer Mages unfortunately did take the biggest hit. They lost, was it Plush Fire, Damage Juggler, Wavering Eyes was hit to 1. We lost multiple copies of both Skullcrab Bat Joker and Monkey Board, so they were both sent to 1. So yeah, it is efficient. We're pretty much just going from that variation. I do have a few more decks that I'll be trying out as well, just to fit into the variation. So without further ado, let's get into Perform Mage Draco, which is the title of this video and the title of this deck. So it starts off with the Performer Pals, and that's pretty much 3 copies of Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer, 3 copies of Gill Turtle, and 3 copies of Lizard Draw, followed by multiple 1 copies of Silver Claw, Camel Lump, Part Naga, Monkey Board, and Skullcrow Bat Joker. Following them, as I move these cards to the side, are my Draco cards. So we have 3 copies of Vector Pendulum, the Draco Overlord, and 3 copies of Lecter Pendulum, the Draco Overlord. And then following the Draco Overlords, we have 3 copies of Master Pendulum, the Draco Slayer, and Lesser Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. Then, to finish out the rest of the deck, I'm running 3 copies of Archfiend Eccentric, 2 copies of Magical Abductor, and 2 copies of Maxi, 1 copy of Mask Chameleon, and 1 copy of Glow Up Bolt. So that's the monsters. For the spells, I'm running pretty much just 1 copy of Painful Decision, 1 copy of Draco Face Off, 1 copy of Foolish Burial, and 2 copies of Instant Fusion. Then, for the traps, just 1 copy each of Solemn Strike and Solemn Warning. For the extra deck, I'm running 2 copies of Ignister Providence, the Blasting Draco Slayer, 1 copy of Magister Paladin, and 1 copy of Dynaster Power. Then I'm running 1 copy of Performer Mage Trapeze Magician. Why is it Trapeze Juggler? 1 copy of Elder Entity Norden. 1 copy each of the Neteria Monsters, Neteria Beast, and Barkion. 1 copy of the King of the Feral Imp. 1 Gaga Cowboy, Castell, Emerald, Dweller, 101, and 106. So that's pretty much it for the entire deck itself. So now I'm going to go over my choices. So when the Performer Mages got hit, it was pretty much simple that you're practically going to go play Performer Pal. With both sets of, with all 3 sets of search and draw power, this is pretty much what my biggest engine was going from Gill Turtle into Lizard Draw, Pendulum Sorcerer, popping them so that I could search for a lot of their pieces, or following up with Skullcrow Bat Joker, Monkey Board, and using their abilities to search and set up scales. Then the lizard draw, the part naga, the camel lump, and the um, silver claw. The silver claw was pretty much there to help with the rise of was those decks. Monarchs. It was an easy, sure way if you combined it with Pendulum Sorcerer and him. You pretty much had level 4 level 4 Pormao monsters that had an additional 1300 in stats to deal with a lot of their opponent's cards, especially dealing with the Monarchs, because a lot of the Monarchs do start off with a base of 2400 attack. And with the surplus of cards that they got in support, it was a really good thing. Or you can combine Camel Lump's effect and Part Naga's effect and get, decreasing their attack strength instead of increasing. So that way your stuff can take them out, especially a lot of your monsters you wouldn't be having an extra deck because you still had to deal. I think at that point people were trying to find ways to deal with Domain of the Monarchs, the tons of search cards that they had, and tons of just search support that they had, and the fact that they were anti-extra deck and cards that dealt with the extra deck. As far as the Dracos go, the Draco Slayers and Draco Overlords did see their big increase. Not only did the Draco Overlords get a new monster in the form of Lecter Pendulum, but it was a scale 5, so that helped them in terms of the force. Now, the only downside was, if you looked at the Draco Slayers, we did lose Luster Pendulum. And losing Luster Pendulum was a big hit for a lot of people because Luster Pendulum was the one that reset a lot of the scales, especially if you're a level 4 variant of any of the Pendulum decks at that point. And for the most part, Luster Pendulum was splashed into a lot of the extra cards because of the fact that you had access to Draco Face-Off. You had more variety of cards coming with Draco Face-Off once Lecter Pendulum came, because then you'd have scales of 5, you had scales of 3, and you can pretty much set your scales up at that point. Not only that, but he had the ability to pop other scales that were already in play, so then you can just reset new scales and then go from there. So that's part of the reason why, in my opinion, I think that Luster Pendulum did get hit. It didn't really hurt much decks at that point, but it did hurt in terms of just him and Draco Face-Off. So I did try to keep as many of the multiples because of this deck being a rank 4 oriented deck. You saw a lot of rank 4 supply and setup. Following that, it was risky to run Archfiend Eccentric, but I did want someone to help me pop spells and traps. Surprisingly, the only way my scales would get low enough is if a couple of the Pendulum monsters that were scale 2 were in the field in the Pendulum Zone, and I can go off of them. Now, if I was really searching for a lot of cards, Magical Dector was a great asset in the fact that she was able to put cell counters on herself, and you can go search for a Pendulum monster and add it from your deck to your hand. So the way you would play a lot of your scales is just setting up so that she could have a lot of her own plays. Wavering Eyes and stuff like that did play a big factor between that whole scenario, but I think my next variation of the deck did increase it a lot better in a lot of the things that she was able to do. Now, in terms of all the non-Pendulum monsters, Maxi was still a big issue. Maxi was still a big support card, even at 2. And I did have only 2. So I was very much stressing him thin. The Masked Chameleon and the Glow Bulb, like I said, Masked Chameleon is really good. Like I said in previous videos, to correct myself, Masked Chameleon was really good with your extra deck because your Draco Slayers are all 0 defense, and you can easily pick them up. Your Draco Overlords have 0 defense. You can pick them up. Synchro and you go crazy. Glow Bulb, the instance is just sending stuff to the graveyard, and because a lot of the cards are easily recoverable with a lot of their own support, it was just easy to put Glow Bulb into this deck. Not only did it give you access, which a lot of your Earth monsters, to make bees, but because I was running Part Naga, it was a good instance to make a Barkion in a situation where Beast Barkion are on the field. Beast can mill for spells, Barkion can banish for traps, and I can still set up my Pendulum stuff and then go crazy with the supportive monster cast. So that's pretty much it for the monster choices. As far as the spells go, Norton was a thing, so Instant Fusion still had to stay. I was working around with Foolish Burial because of Global Bulb and Mass Chameleon. Draco Face Off did take the hit going to 1. But I think at a point I did stretch my options because there was only one Draco Face Off. And Painful Decision did become a lot of people's big choices in helping you deal with Draco Face Off. I just didn't have multiple copies of this card, which is unfortunate because I did get a common reprint and I did want to go look for the common reprints, but I'm not really running those types of decks to run normal monsters at this moment. But that's my spells. For my traps, with the exception of Vanity's Emptiness, I think that was the only other trap that I did forget. And I could easily have taken out like a Gill Turtle to put that in, or a Lizard Draw and Gill Turtle to put more traps in. But yeah, counter traps were becoming a big thing. Not setting too many cells and traps were becoming a big thing. Like, you wanted your cells to do their actions, but you wanted your traps to either interact in countering or just counter in general. So that was like pretty much the low count for that. In terms of the extra deck, I mean, your Draco engine was still alive at the time. Some people were even running multiple copies of Magister Paladin and Dinister to fit with the multiples of Ignister and keep that scenario going. A lot of the spellcaster decks were still spellcaster pendulum decks were still running Perform Mage, Trapeze Magician, because it allowed your monsters to do double attack. It was a good anti-burn card, and it was really just 2 spellcasters, and it's not too hard to make in this deck to summon 2 spellcasters. As far as everyone else goes, Norton, my instant fusion target, the best rank for setup monster in the game. Beast and Barkion, countering spells and traps with earth monsters for their support. King of the Virulent, multiple targets in the deck, if I'm not mistaken. I had Partnaga, I had Lizard Draw, and then I had the access to Mass Chameleon, and then getting that set up for synchro plays and extra deck plays there. Cowboy was the 800 burn. Let me list over. Okay, Cowboy was my 800 burn. Castell was removal. Emerald is your pot of avarice. Or if I felt bold enough, I could summon a Draco Overlord or a Draco Slayer that was a long monster. Abyss Dweller to counter graveyard effects. 101 and 106 were just pretty much really good counters to a lot of things in the game. And they were still prominently the most powerful rank 4s in the game. Right next to even Utopia the Lightning when he came out. So that's pretty much it for this revisit of Perform Mage Draco 2016. I hope you guys enjoyed this revisit, and I still have a couple more revisits to go between then and now. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, you guys, HPJ signing out. Take care.